walks through to the end of the carriage and goes through the interconnecting doors. He picks his way through the next packed carriage.
Excuse me.
He looks through the next door and sees Silver in the adjoining carriage. Silver turns around and sees him just as the train pulls into Embankment Station. The train stops and the doors open. Both Silver and Bond rush out onto the packed platform and force their way through the crowds. Silver and Bond barge their way past astonished commuters. Silver slides down the metal divider between a couple of escalators. Bond leaps onto the divider and slides down behind him. Silver takes a tumble off the bottom, but then runs on. Bond flies off the end of the divider and sprints after Silver. Rounding a pillar, Bond slows his pace. There are several police officers up ahead of him. Because of his uniform, Silver walks through a police checkpoint unimpeded. He laughs to himself. Having lost sight of his quarry, Bond walks slowly past some armed officers at the checkpoint. They don't attempt to stop him. Silver makes his way through a service door. As Bond walks along the corridor, he notices the service door is slightly ajar. At the inquiry...
It's as if you insist on pretending we still live in a golden age of espionage, where human intelligence was the only resource available. Well, I find this rather old-fashioned belief demonstrates a reckless disregard...
Excuse me, Minister, I don't mean to interrupt, but just for the sake of variety, might we actually hear from the witness?
Of course.
Mallory looks over at M.
Thank you.
Gun at the ready, Bond trots down a flight of steps beyond the service door. He finds an electrical junction box and turns lights on. He sees Silver running to a ladder at the end of a long room. Bond runs into the room as Silver begins to climb. Bond starts shooting.
I won't miss next time, Mr. Silver.
Not bad. Not bad, James, for a physical wreck.
Why, thank you.
You got me. Now, here's your prize. The latest thing from my local toy store. It's called Radio.
Silver detonates an explosion in the roof.
I do hope that wasn't for me.
But that is.
Bond spins around and sees a tube train come crashing down through the hole in the roof. Bond leaps out of the way just in time to avoid being crushed by the tube train, which plows through the subterranean room one carriage after another. Silver scuttles up the rest of the ladder to safety as the train smashes into the wall. As the train comes to rest, Bond gets to his feet. He looks around at the devastation. Silver walks out of a tube station and marches over to a marked police Land Rover Discovery, which pulls up nearby. He gets in and it speeds off. One of the other phony officers inside hands Silver a pistol. He cocks it. At the inquiry...
Chairman, Ministers, today I've repeatedly heard how irrelevant my department has become. Why do we need agents? The 00 section, isn't it all rather quaint? Well, I suppose I see a different world than you do. And the truth is that what I see frightens me. I'm frightened because our enemies are no longer known to us. They do not exist on a map. They're not nations. They're individuals.
Tanner gets a message.
Look around you. Who do you fear? Can you see a face, a uniform, a flag? No. Our world is not more transparent now. It's more opaque. It's in the shadows. That's where we must do battle. So, before you declare us irrelevant, ask yourselves, how safe do you feel?
Silver and the two phony cops shoot their way into the inquiry.
Just one more thing to say. My late husband was a great lover of poetry. And, I suppose some of it sunk in, despite my best intentions. And here today I remember this, I think, from Tennyson.
Bond runs out of Westminster Tube.
We are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
Silver bursts in. Silver shoots a man in front of M, then a real policeman. He turns his gun on M, who freezes. Mallory pulls her aside and takes Silver's bullet in the shoulder. Bond sprints down a street. Silver and his accomplices pepper the inquiry room with bullets. Tanner pushes M under a desk. Bond arrives at the building and, gun drawn, opens the door to the chamber. A real policeman is shot in front of him. He and Silver exchange shots. Bond kicks a dropped pistol to Eve. Another policeman gets shot and Mallory grabs the officer's gun. He runs to cover and blasts one of Silver's henchmen. Bond looks over at Mallory and winks, then shoots a couple of fire extinguishers on the wall. The chamber fills with CO2, obscuring Silver's view. Using the gas as cover, Bond steps out and lays down covering fire. Silver shoots wildly into the fog of CO2, then retreats from the chamber, gunning a man down on his way out. Tanner gets M to safety as Eve organizes the other survivors. Mallory shuts the door behind Tanner and M. Silver makes his way out of the building and hurries to the police Land Rover Discovery. He gets in beside the driver and it speeds away. Bond steps outside